The marble floor of Sullivan Industries gleamed under the bright overhead lights, so polished that Blessing could see her own reflection staring back at her. At 8 years old, she looked even smaller in this massive space, her worn sneakers squeaking against the expensive stone as she clutched a crumpled $5 bill in her trembling hand. Water dripped from her braided hair, leaving small puddles around her feet. The rain outside had soaked through her thin purple jacket, but she hadn't noticed. All she could think about was her mama lying in bed that morning, too weak to stand, whispering that everything would be okay even though Blessing knew it wasn't. 2 security guards flanked her, their faces stern but not unkind. The taller one, a broad-shouldered man with graying temples, bent down to her level. "Sweetie, you can't be here. This is a private building. Where are your parents?" Blessing shook her head, her brown eyes fierce despite the tears threatening to spill. "I need to see Mr. Sullivan. Please. It's important." "Mr. Sullivan doesn't take walk-in appointments," the other guard said, a younger woman with kind eyes. "Especially not from children. Come on, let's call someone to pick you up." "No." Blessing's voice cracked but grew stronger. "I'm not leaving until I see him. I have money. I can pay." She held up the $5 bill, wrinkled and slightly torn at one corner. It was all she had. She'd been saving it for months, collecting coins from helping neighbors carry groceries and returning bottles for deposits. Last week she'd finally exchanged all those coins at the corner store. This $5 represented every bit of work she could do as a child. The lobby receptionist, a polished woman in a crisp blue suit, approached with a tablet in hand. "Security, please escort the child out. We have the board meeting in 10 minutes and Mr. Sullivan will be coming through." "I'll wait," Blessing said, planting her feet. "I'll wait all day. I'll wait all week. My mama needs help and Mr. Sullivan helps people. I saw it on the news." The receptionist sighed, clearly losing patience. "Listen, little girl, this is inappropriate. Mr. Sullivan is a very busy man. He runs a billion-dollar company. He doesn't have time for every person who walks through the door." "Then I'll pay more," Blessing said desperately. "I can get more money. I'll work. I'll do anything. Just please let me talk to him." The commotion was drawing attention. Several employees in the lobby had stopped to watch. Some looked annoyed at the disruption. Others seemed moved by the small girl's determination. One woman pulled out her phone, possibly to call child services. That's when the elevator doors opened with a soft chime. Nathan Sullivan stepped out, flanked by 3 executives in dark suits. At 42, he cut an impressive figure. Tall, athletic build, with close-cropped black hair just starting to show gray at the temples. He wore a perfectly tailored charcoal suit, a white shirt and a blue tie. Everything about him screamed power and wealth. His eyes, dark and intelligent, scanned the lobby with the practiced efficiency of a man who noticed everything. He paused when he saw the small crowd gathered near the security desk. "What's going on?" His voice carried natural authority. The receptionist hurried over. "Nothing to concern yourself with, Mr. Sullivan. Just a minor situation we're handling." But Nathan's eyes had already found Blessing. He saw her soaked clothes, her determined stance, the $5 bill clutched in her small fist. Something in her expression made him stop. He'd seen that look before long ago in a different mirror. Desperation mixed with stubborn hope. "Let me through," he said to his executives, who parted immediately. Nathan walked toward Blessing, his expensive shoes clicking against the marble. The lobby fell silent. Everyone watched as the billionaire CEO approached the small, soaking wet child. He stopped a few feet away and crouched down, bringing himself to her eye level. "Hello. I'm Nathan Sullivan." Blessing's breath caught. This was him. The man from the news. The one who donated millions to build schools and hospitals. The one the reporter said had the biggest heart in the business world. "Mr. Sullivan," she whispered, then stronger. "Mr. Sullivan, I need to hire you." A ripple of surprised murmurs went through the watching employees. Nathan held up a hand for silence without looking away from Blessing. "Hire me?" he repeated gently. "Tell me your name first." "Blessing. Blessing Richardson. That's a beautiful name. Tell me what this is about, Blessing." The little girl's composure cracked. Tears spilled down her cheeks, mixing with the rainwater still dripping from her hair. "My mama is sick. Real sick. She works 2 jobs but we still don't have enough money for the doctor. She collapsed last week and we went to the emergency room but they said she needs tests and medicine and we can't afford it. We're going to lose our apartment next month because Mama couldn't work and the landlord said no more chances." She held out the $5 bill with both hands like an offering. "I know this isn't enough. I know you probably charge way more. But it's all I have right now. I can get more, I promise. I'm a good worker. I can clean or carry things or whatever you need. But please, sir, please help my mama. She's all I have and I'm all she has and I don't know what else to do." The lobby was completely silent now. Nathan stared at the child, at the $5 she offered so earnestly, and felt something crack open in his chest. He recognized this moment because he'd lived a version of it once. He'd been 7 years old, standing in a hospital hallway, begging a doctor to help his own sick mother. The doctor had turned away. Nathan had been powerless then, small and poor and unimportant. He wasn't powerless anymore. "Blessing," he said softly, "put your money away." Her face fell. "Please, I can get more, I just need time." "No." He held up a hand. "Put it away because you're not paying me anything. You're hiring me and I accept the job, but there's no fee." Blessing blinked, confused. But you have to charge something. That's how business works. Mama explained it." "You're right. So here's my price. I want you to tell me everything about your situation. Your mama's name, where you live, what doctor she's seen. And I want you to promise me something." "What?" "Promise me you'll let me help completely. No arguing, no pride, just acceptance. Can you do that?" Blessing nodded so hard her braids bounced. "Yes, sir. Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much." Nathan stood and turned to Jennifer, his assistant, who'd appeared at his elbow. "Cancel my meetings for the rest of the day." "Sir, the board meeting?" "Reschedule it." His tone left no room for argument. "And get me Thomas Brennan on the phone." "The doctor?" "Yes. Tell him it's urgent." Nathan looked back at Blessing. "Let's go to my office. We have a lot to discuss." He extended his hand and Blessing took it without hesitation. Her small fingers disappeared in his larger grip. As they walked toward the elevator, Nathan felt the weight of every eye in that lobby. He didn't care. The board could wait. The stockholders could wait. Everything could wait. This little girl had reminded him why he'd built his empire in the first place. Have you ever met someone whose courage changed everything? What would you do if a child asked you for help with everything they had? Drop a comment below and subscribe to see how this powerful story unfolds. Will Nathan's help come in time? Nathan's office occupied the entire top floor of Sullivan Industries. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered a panoramic view of the city, the skyline stretching endlessly under gray afternoon clouds. The rain had slowed to a drizzle, streaking the glass like tears. Inside, the space was surprisingly warm despite its size. Comfortable leather furniture in rich brown tones, bookshelves lined with photos alongside business volumes, and plants that softened the corporate atmosphere. Blessing sat on a sofa that seemed to swallow her small frame, a thick blanket wrapped around her shoulders and a mug of hot chocolate warming her hands. Jennifer had found dry clothes for her, a Sullivan Industries Youth Program t-shirt in bright red that hung to her knees, and sweatpants rolled up several times at the ankles. Her wet clothes tumbled in a dryer somewhere in the building. Nathan sat across from her, sleeves rolled up, tie loosened, with a legal pad balanced on his knee. He'd spent the last hour asking questions and taking notes. Jennifer sat beside him with a laptop, typing rapidly. "So your mother is Rochelle Richardson," Nathan said, reviewing his notes. "Age 32. Works as an orderly at Memorial Hospital night shift, and cashier at Garcia's Grocery on weekends. She used to work more hours at the grocery store," Blessing added. "But she got too tired. She started forgetting things and getting dizzy. Then last Wednesday she fell down at work. The hospital people said she needed to see a doctor, but we don't have insurance. Mama said she'd be fine, just needed rest, but she's not fine. She can barely get out of bed." Nathan's jaw tightened. "And your landlord is threatening eviction? We're 3 months behind on rent. Mr. Harris said if we don't pay by next Friday we have to leave." Blessing's voice dropped to a whisper. "I don't know where we'd go. Mama grew up in foster care. She doesn't have family. It's just us." Jennifer looked up from her laptop, her eyes suspiciously bright. Nathan saw her quickly wipe at them before returning to typing. "What about your father?" Nathan asked gently. Blessing shrugged. "Never met him. Mama said he left before I was born. She said it doesn't matter because we have each other and that's enough." Nathan set down his legal pad and leaned forward, elbows on his knees. "Blessing, I'm going to tell you something important. Your mother is right. Family isn't about who left. It's about who stays. And now you have me staying too." The little girl's eyes widened. "Really? Really? Here's what's going to happen. First, I'm sending Dr. Thomas Brennan to examine your mother. He's the best doctor I know. He'll figure out what's wrong and how to fix it. Second, I'm paying your rent. All of it, current and back payments. Mr. Harris won't be bothering you anymore. Third, any medical bills, medications, treatments your mother needs? Covered. All of it. Blessing's hot chocolate sloshed as her hands shook. But that's so much money. How can I ever pay you back? You already did, Nathan said simply. You trusted me. That matters more than money ever could. Tears streamed down Blessing's face. Thank you. Thank you so much. Mama is going to be so happy. She's been so worried and trying to hide it from me, but I hear her crying at night. Nathan felt that crack in his chest widen. He'd built an empire, donated millions, changed countless lives through his foundation. But sitting here, seeing this child's relief hit differently. This was personal. This was immediate. This was exactly why he'd clawed his way out of poverty 30 years ago. Jennifer, get the car ready, he said. We're going to visit Blessing's home. Sir, are you sure? Your schedule is clear for the day. Remember? Jennifer nodded, already texting the driver. 40 minutes later, Nathan's black SUV pulled up outside a worn apartment building in the old industrial district. The neighborhood had seen better days. Graffiti marked several walls, a few windows were boarded up, and trash collected in the corners of the street. But there were also signs of community. Flower boxes in some windows, children's chalk drawings on the sidewalk, an elderly man sweeping the stoop of the neighboring building. Blessing led them up 3 flights of narrow stairs. The hallway smelled of cooking spices and old carpet. She stopped at apartment 3C and pulled a key from under her shirt, where it hung on a string around her neck. Mama doesn't like me having keys in my pocket, she explained. She says they could fall out. The apartment was tiny. One main room served as living area and kitchen, with a small bathroom and single bedroom visible through open doors. But it was spotlessly clean. The furniture was old but carefully maintained. Pictures covered the walls. Blessing at various ages, school photos, crayon drawings framed like masterpieces. A stack of library books sat on a wobbly coffee table. Mama? Blessing called. Mama, I brought help. A weak voice came from the bedroom. Baby? You're home early. Is everything okay? Blessing ran to the bedroom doorway. Everything's perfect. Come see. Nathan followed slowly, giving the woman privacy to prepare. When he reached the bedroom door, he found himself looking at Rochelle Richardson for the first time. She sat up in bed, clearly struggling with the effort. She was a beautiful woman despite her obvious illness. Deep brown skin, high cheekbones, dark eyes that held both warmth and worry. Her hair was wrapped in a colorful scarf. She wore an oversized gray sweater and looked far too thin. Her eyes went wide when she saw Nathan standing in her doorway. Mama, this is Mr. Sullivan, Blessing announced proudly. The man from TV. The one who helps people. I went to see him and he said yes. He's going to help us. Rochelle's face went through a rapid series of emotions. Confusion, recognition, embarrassment, hope, and finally concern. Blessing, baby, what did you do? I did what I had to do, Blessing said with 8-year-old certainty. You were sick and we needed help, so I went and asked for it. And Mr. Sullivan said yes. Rochelle looked at Nathan, her expression mortified. Mr. Sullivan, I'm so sorry. I didn't know she was planning. I would never have let her bother you. I'm so embarrassed. Nathan stepped into the room, hands in his pockets, making himself less imposing. Mrs. Richardson. Ms., she corrected quietly. Never married. Ms. Richardson. Your daughter didn't bother me. She impressed me. She showed more courage today than most adults show in a lifetime. And she was right to ask for help. I don't take charity, Rochelle said, lifting her chin despite her weakness. I work for what we have. I know. Blessing told me about your 2 jobs. That's incredibly admirable. But right now you're sick. You need treatment. And your daughter needs her mother healthy. I can't afford treatment. I tried. They want thousands of dollars just for tests. You don't have to afford it. I'm covering everything. Rochelle shook her head. I can't accept that. It's too much. Blessing climbed onto the bed and took her mother's hand. Mama, please. Remember what you always tell me? That there's no shame in accepting kindness? That's what Mr. Sullivan is offering. Kindness. Rochelle looked at her daughter, tears filling her eyes. Baby. Please, Mama, Blessing whispered. I'm scared. I don't want to lose you. The words broke through Rochelle's pride. She pulled Blessing into a hug, both of them crying now. Over her daughter's head, Rochelle met Nathan's eyes. Why? She asked simply. Why would you do this for strangers? Nathan thought about his answer carefully. Because 35 years ago, I was in a hospital hallway begging a doctor to help my mother. He said we couldn't afford it and walked away. She died 3 days later. I swore then that if I ever had the power to help someone, I would. Your daughter gave me that chance today." The room fell silent except for soft crying. Rochelle wiped her eyes and squared her shoulders. "Then I accept. With gratitude. And somehow, someday I'll find a way to pay you back." "Just get better," Nathan said. "That's payment enough." He pulled out his phone and made a call. "Dr. Brennan? It's Nathan. I'm at 412 Cypress Street, apartment 3C. I need you here within the hour." "Yes, house call." "No, that's exactly what I'm paying you for." "Thank you." He ended the call and smiled at the two shocked faces staring at him. "Doctor's on his way. Pack a small bag, Ms. Richardson. If he determines you need hospitalization, I want you ready to go." "I can't just leave. I have work tomorrow." "I'll handle that too. Your jobs will be there when you're healthy, or better ones will be. Don't worry about anything except getting well." Jennifer appeared in the doorway. "Sir, I've contacted maintenance at Memorial Hospital. Ms. Richardson's supervisor says her position is protected under medical leave. Garcia's grocery is more complicated, but I'm working on it. Tell Garcia I'll personally cover any lost revenue if he holds her position," Nathan said. "And send a check to cover this month's rent plus the back payments. Make it out to the building owner directly." "Already in process," Jennifer confirmed. Rochelle stared at them both. "This isn't real. This doesn't happen in real life." Blessing squeezed her mother's hand. "It's happening, Mama. We're going to be okay." Nathan looked at the little girl whose bravery had changed his day, and at the woman who'd raised such a remarkable child despite overwhelming odds. Something shifted inside him, a feeling he couldn't quite name. This wasn't just charity. This wasn't just his usual philanthropic work. This felt like the beginning of something much more important. He just didn't know yet how much these two people would change his life. Dr. Thomas Brennan arrived exactly 53 minutes after Nathan's call, carrying a leather medical bag that probably cost more than Rochelle's monthly rent. He was a distinguished man in his 60s, with silver hair and gentle hands that had treated half of the city's elite. He examined Rochelle thoroughly, asking detailed questions while Blessing hovered nearby and Nathan waited in the living room. Jennifer had transformed the small space in the hours since their arrival. She'd ordered groceries that now filled the previously sparse refrigerator, arranged for a cleaning service to help maintain the apartment, and set up a payment system for all of Rochelle's bills to be automatically handled through Sullivan Industries accounts. "She needs extensive testing," Dr. Brennan announced when he emerged from the bedroom. "Based on her symptoms, I suspect an autoimmune condition. Possibly lupus, possibly rheumatoid arthritis, could be several other things. But whatever it is, it's treatable. She'll need blood work, imaging, probably a specialist consultation." "Set it all up," Nathan said. "Whatever she needs, wherever she needs to go. I'd like to admit her to Westside Medical Center tonight. It's where I have privileges and the best diagnostic equipment." Rochelle appeared in the bedroom doorway, leaning heavily against the frame. "I can't afford Westside. That's the fancy hospital." "You're not paying," Nathan reminded her gently. "Remember our agreement? But I should at least know what it costs. I need to understand what you're spending." Nathan shook his head. "No, you don't. You need to focus on getting well. Let me handle the rest. I'm not comfortable being in the dark about money that's being spent on me." There was a brief standoff. Jennifer intervened smoothly. "Ms. Richardson, I understand your concern. How about this? I'll provide you with a general overview of expenses without specific numbers. That way you're informed but not burdened with details that might cause stress during recovery." Rochelle considered this, then nodded slowly. "That seems fair. Thank you." "Mama, can I go with you to the hospital?" Blessing asked. "Baby, you have school tomorrow?" "I'll arrange for a tutor to meet her at the hospital," Nathan said. "She shouldn't be separated from you right now. And honestly, I think having her there will help your recovery." "You've thought of everything," Rochelle said softly. "That's what I do," Nathan replied with a small smile. "I solve problems." They arrived at Westside Medical Center just as evening fell. The hospital was indeed impressive. Modern architecture, pristine corridors, private rooms with views of the city. Rochelle was admitted immediately, no waiting, no paperwork struggles. Nurses treated her with respect and efficiency. Blessing set up camp in a chair beside her mother's bed, a backpack full of books and homework that Jennifer had somehow procured. Nathan stayed until Rochelle fell asleep, monitors beeping softly for fluids running. "Mr. Sullivan," Blessing whispered in the dimly lit room, "you're like a miracle. I'm just a person with resources who chooses to use them well, Nathan whispered back. Your mother is the miracle. She raised you to be brave and kind. That's harder than making money. Will you come back tomorrow? Yes. I'll check on both of you. Promise. Something about the way she asked, the vulnerability in her voice, made Nathan's throat tight. Promise. He kept that promise. The next day, he arrived during lunch with bags of food from a local restaurant Rochelle had mentioned she'd always wanted to try but couldn't afford. The day after that, he brought Blessing new school supplies and books. By the end of the week, his daily visits had become routine. The test results came back on day 6. Dr. Brennan gathered them in Rochelle's hospital room, which had transformed into a cozy space with flowers from well-wishers at Sullivan Industries who'd heard about the case. You have systemic lupus erythematosus, Dr. Brennan explained. It's an autoimmune disease where your body attacks its own tissues. That's what's been causing your fatigue, joint pain, and other symptoms. Rochelle's hand found Blessing's. Is it serious? It's manageable. With proper medication and treatment, you can live a completely normal life. You'll need to see a rheumatologist regularly, take medications, and make some lifestyle adjustments. But this is not a death sentence. Many people with lupus live full, active lives. How much does treatment cost? Rochelle asked quietly. Dr. Brennan looked at Nathan, who nodded. The medications run about $1,500 monthly without insurance. Regular appointments, lab work, and monitoring add another several thousand annually. Rochelle closed her eyes. That's impossible. No, Nathan said firmly. It's handled. All of it. I'm setting up a medical trust in Blessing's name that will ensure you have coverage for life. Not just for lupus but for any health needs either of you have. That's too much. It's not enough, Nathan countered. Your daughter walked into my office with $5 and unlimited courage. She changed my perspective on everything. This is the least I can do. Rochelle opened her eyes, looking at him with an expression he couldn't quite read. Why are you really doing this? There has to be more to it than what you told us before. Nathan pulled a chair close to the bed and sat down, elbows on his knees. You want the truth? My mother died when I was 7. We were poor. She got sick and we couldn't afford treatment. I watched her fade away over 3 months, getting weaker every day, and there was nothing I could do. I was just a kid. He paused, the memory still sharp after 35 years. I built my company with one goal, to never be powerless again. To have enough money and influence that I could help people when it mattered. But somewhere along the way, I got lost in board meetings and stock prices and forgot why I started. He looked at Blessing, who was listening with wide eyes. Then this young lady showed up in my lobby and reminded me. She reminded me what it feels like to be desperate and brave at the same time. She reminded me why having resources matters. It's not about the money itself. It's about what you can do with it. Rochelle's eyes were wet. I'm sorry about your mother. Me too. But if I can prevent other children from going through what I did, then maybe her death meant something. Maybe mine will too someday. That's a beautiful way to look at it, Rochelle said softly. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment. Then Blessing spoke up. Mr. Sullivan, do you have a family? Kids. Blessing, Rochelle said quickly, that's personal. It's okay, Nathan assured her. No, Blessing. No kids. I was married once a long time ago, but it didn't work out. I've spent most of my adult life building my company. There hasn't been much room for anything else. That's sad, Blessing said with a child's blunt honesty. Everyone should have a family. Maybe you're right. Over the following weeks, a pattern developed. Nathan visited every day, sometimes twice. He brought dinner and ate with Rochelle and Blessing in the hospital room. He helped Blessing with homework, discovering she was incredibly bright with a particular talent for math. He talked with Rochelle about her life, her dreams, her experiences growing up in foster care. Rochelle, in turn, opened up in ways she never had with anyone. Maybe it was the medication making her more relaxed. Maybe it was gratitude. Or maybe it was the genuine interest Nathan showed in her as a person, not just a charity case. She told him about bouncing between 7 different foster homes before aging out of the system at 18. About working 3 jobs to put herself through community college while pregnant with Blessing. About the father who'd promised forever and disappeared the moment things got difficult. About building a life from nothing, determined to give her daughter the stability she'd never had. You're incredible, Nathan said one evening after a particularly detailed story. I had to claw my way up, but I had my mother's love for 7 years. You didn't even have that. Yet you're one of the strongest people I've ever met. Rochelle laughed, a sound Nathan was hearing more often as her health improved. I don't feel strong. I feel like I've been barely hanging on for years. That's what strength is, Nathan said. Not the absence of struggle, but the refusal to quit despite it. Their eyes met and held. Something passed between them, an understanding that went beyond words. Blessing, doing homework at the nearby table, glanced up and smiled to herself. Mr. Sullivan, Rochelle said carefully, can I ask you something? Of course. When this is over, when I'm well and home, will you still visit? Nathan didn't hesitate. Yes. If you'll have me. I'd like that. She paused. Blessing would too. Just Blessing? Nathan asked, his voice soft. Rochelle's cheeks darkened. Not just Blessing. The moment stretched between them, full of possibility. Then Dr. Brennan knocked on the door and the spell broke. But something had shifted. They both felt it. On day 23, Rochelle was discharged. Her lupus was under control, her strength returning, her prognosis excellent. Nathan arranged for a car to take them home. Jennifer had coordinated with the building manager to have the apartment deep cleaned and restocked. When they arrived, Rochelle found a surprise, a letter on the kitchen table. Dear Ms. Richardson, it read in Nathan's precise handwriting. Your position at the grocery store was unfortunately eliminated during your absence. However, Sullivan Industries would like to offer you a position in our community outreach department. Your experiences and perspective would be invaluable in helping us develop programs for families in need. The salary is $65,000 annually with full health benefits, retirement matching, and flexible hours to accommodate your medical needs. No pressure to accept, but we'd be honored to have you. Regardless of your decision, your rent and medical expenses remain covered. Please contact Jennifer with questions. Nathan. Rochelle read the letter 3 times, then burst into tears. Blessing hugged her tightly. Happy tears, Mama? The happiest, Rochelle confirmed. Baby, our lives just changed. Everything just changed. She accepted the position the next day. 2 weeks later, she reported to Sullivan Industries for her first day of work, wearing a professional blue dress that Jennifer had helped her pick out. Her office was modest but pleasant, with a window view and a desk already stacked with files about community programs. Nathan stopped by at lunchtime carrying sandwiches. How's the first day? Overwhelming, Rochelle admitted. But good. Really good. Nathan, I can't thank you enough. You just did. And please eat. Doctor's orders about keeping your strength up. They ate together, talking about her new projects and his ongoing business deals. The conversation flowed easily, punctuated by laughter. Nathan found himself watching her animated expressions, the way her eyes lit up when discussing ideas for helping families. He was falling for her. The realization hit him suddenly but felt absolutely right. The question was, did she feel the same? 3 months into her new position, Rochelle had become an integral part of Sullivan Industries' community outreach program. She brought a perspective none of the other team members possessed. She'd lived the struggles they were trying to address. Her input reshaped how the company approached poverty relief, making their programs more practical and impactful. She sat in a conference room on a Tuesday morning, presenting her latest initiative to the board. Nathan watched from the head of the table, trying to focus on her words rather than the way her green blouse brought out the warmth in her brown skin, or how confident she'd become in professional settings. The traditional model of charity creates dependency, Rochelle explained, clicking through her presentation slides. What we need is a pathway to independence. I'm proposing a program that combines immediate aid with job training, childcare support, and financial literacy education. We help families stabilize, then give them tools to thrive independently. Board member Gregory Thompson, a silver-haired man who'd been with the company for decades, nodded thoughtfully. The budget for this would be substantial. $2.3 million for the pilot program, Rochelle confirmed. But projected outcomes show it's more cost-effective long-term than repeated short-term interventions. We're not just giving fish. We're teaching fishing and providing the equipment to do it. I love it, Nathan said immediately. Approved. Shouldn't we discuss it further? Another board member asked. No need. Ms. Richardson has proven her judgment repeatedly. She says this will work, it will work. Move forward with implementation. After the meeting ended, Rochelle gathered her materials while others filed out. Nathan hung back, waiting until they were alone. That was impressive, he said. 3 months ago you were nervous about speaking in front of 5 people. Today you commanded a room of 20 executives. Rochelle smiled. I had a good teacher. You've been coaching me. I've been supporting you. The talent was always there. They walked together toward the elevators. These small moments had become routine. Lunch together several times a week, afternoon coffee breaks, Saturday morning visits where Nathan would bring breakfast to Rochelle's apartment and spend time with both her and Blessing. The little girl had become his shadow on weekends. She peppered him with questions about business, mathematics, and life. Nathan found himself explaining concepts he'd never had to articulate before, seeing his world through her curious eyes. "Nathan," Rochelle said as they waited for the elevator, "can I ask you something?" "Always. Why haven't you dated since we met? Jennifer mentioned you used to go to social events with different women, but you've stopped." Nathan pressed the elevator button again unnecessarily. Seemed pointless. Pointless. Those women wanted the idea of me. The status, the wealth, the connections. None of them wanted to know who I actually am. He glanced at her. "It gets old. That must be lonely." It was. Past tense. The elevator arrived and they stepped inside, alone in the mirrored space. Rochelle studied him in the reflection. "You've become really important to Blessing. She talks about you constantly. Mr. Sullivan this, Mr. Sullivan that. She's important to me too. Brilliant kid. Did you see her math test from last week? Perfect score." "I saw. She's thriving. We both are. Because of you." "No," Nathan said firmly. "Because of your own strength. I just provided resources." "You provided hope," Rochelle corrected. "That's more valuable than money." The elevator reached the lobby. They stepped out into the bright atrium, sunlight streaming through tall windows. Employees hurried past with tablets and coffee cups, the usual midday bustle. "Do you have dinner plans tonight?" Nathan asked. "Just me and Blessing. We're making spaghetti. It's our Tuesday tradition." "Can I join?" Rochelle's smile widened. "You know you don't have to ask anymore. You're always welcome." That evening, Nathan arrived at apartment 3C with ingredients for a salad and a chocolate cake from Blessing's favorite bakery. The small space felt like home now. He knew where the plates were kept, which chair was his at the dinner table, that Blessing liked her spaghetti sauce extra spicy while Rochelle preferred mild. They cooked together, moving around the tiny kitchen with practiced ease. Blessing stood on a step stool, stirring sauce and chattering about her day. Rochelle chopped vegetables while Nathan set the table, and music played from a small radio on the counter. It felt domestic. It felt right. After dinner, they settled in the living room. Blessing curled up on the couch between Nathan and Rochelle, a blanket over her lap, yawning through her homework. Nathan helped with a particularly tricky math problem while Rochelle reviewed spelling words. "This is nice," Blessing said sleepily. "Like a real family." Rochelle stiffened slightly. "Baby." "It's true, Mama. We eat dinner together and do homework and watch movies. That's what families do." Nathan felt his heart rate increase. "Would that be okay with you? If we were like a family?" "More than okay," Blessing said, then yawned hugely. "Can Nathan be my dad?" "Blessing." Rochelle's voice was sharp with embarrassment. "That's not appropriate." "Why not? He's here all the time anyway. And you like him, Mama. I can tell." "That's enough, young lady. Time for bed." Blessing protested but was clearly exhausted. Rochelle ushered her to the bedroom for pajamas and teeth brushing. Nathan sat on the couch, his mind racing. The little girl's words had articulated something he'd been feeling but hadn't dared voice. He wanted to be part of this family. He wanted Rochelle and Blessing in his life permanently, not just as friends or people he helped. He wanted everything. Rochelle returned 15 minutes later, closing Blessing's bedroom door softly. "She's asleep. I'm sorry about what she said. She's 8 and doesn't understand." "What if I wanted to?" Rochelle froze. "What?" Nathan stood, crossing to where she stood. "What if I want exactly what she described? To be here every night. To help with homework and make dinner and be part of your lives. Not as a friend or benefactor. As something more." "Nathan." Rochelle's voice was barely a whisper. "I know the circumstances are complicated. I know we met because you needed help and there's a power imbalance and 1,000 reasons this could be a bad idea. But Rochelle, I can't stop thinking about you. I can't imagine my life without you and Blessing in it. These past few months have been the happiest I've had in years. You barely know me. I know you're the strongest person I've ever met. I know you love your daughter more than anything. I know you're brilliant and funny and kind. I know you don't need me, which makes me want to be here even more. I know that when you smile, my whole day gets better." Rochelle's eyes glistened. "This is crazy. For months ago we were strangers. Sometimes things move fast. My whole business career has been about recognizing the right opportunity and committing fully. This feels like the most right thing I've ever done. What if you're wrong? What if this is gratitude or obligation or some kind of savior complex? Then why do I think about you when we're apart? Why do I rearrange my schedule to see you? Why does the thought of you dating someone else make me irrationally jealous? You're jealous? A small smile played at Rochelle's lips. Incredibly. That guy from accounting who asked you to lunch last week? I wanted to have him transferred to our Alaska office. Rochelle laughed, a genuine sound that lit up her whole face. That's terrible. I know. I didn't do it, obviously. But I wanted to. They stood close now, close enough that Nathan could see the gold flecks in her brown eyes, could count the exact number of freckles across her nose. Nathan, I need to be honest. I'm scared. My whole life people have left. Foster families gave me back. Blessing's father disappeared. I've learned not to rely on anyone but myself. If I let myself care about you and you leave, I won't leave. You don't know that. Yes, I do. Because I've spent my entire adult life building things that last. I don't do temporary. When I commit completely. And Rochelle, I want to commit to you. To Blessing. To this family we're building. Rochelle searched his face, looking for doubt or deception. She found only sincerity. I care about you too, she admitted softly. More than I should. More than is probably smart. There's nothing smart about falling in love, Nathan said. It's terrifying and risky and completely irrational. But it's also the best thing that's ever happened to me. Falling in love? Rochelle repeated. You're in love with me? Completely. Hopelessly. Have been for weeks. Tears spilled down Rochelle's cheeks. This is insane. I know. We should be sensible. Take things slow. Probably. Think about the complications. Don't care. Rochelle laughed through her tears. You're impossible. Is that a no? She reached up, her hand cupping his cheek. That's a yes. To all of it. To being scared together. To trying this. To being a family. Nathan pulled her into his arms, holding her close. She fit perfectly against him, her head tucked under his chin. They stood like that for a long moment, just breathing together. I love you too, Rochelle whispered. I think I have for a while. I was just too afraid to admit it. Nathan pulled back just enough to see her face. Don't be afraid. Not with me. Okay, she said simply. He kissed her then, soft and gentle, a kiss that tasted like promise and possibility. Rochelle kissed him back, her arms winding around his neck, and for a perfect moment, everything else disappeared. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Rochelle smiled. Blessing is going to be insufferable when she finds out she was right. Nathan laughed. Let her have this victory. She earned it. From the bedroom came a small voice. I heard that. And I was right. Now go back to kissing. That's what people who love each other do. Both adults burst into laughter. Nathan called toward the bedroom. Thought you were asleep, young lady? I was. You woke me up with your loud confessing. But it's okay. I don't mind. Rochelle shook her head, still smiling. We're going to have our hands full with her. Can't wait, Nathan said, meaning it completely. They settled back on the couch, Rochelle leaning against Nathan's shoulder, his arm around her. They stayed like that until late, talking quietly about hopes and fears and plans for a future they would build together. Outside, the city glowed under the night sky. Inside apartment 3C, a family was being born. Not through blood or obligation, but through choice, courage, and love. The best kind of family there was. The next morning, Nathan woke up in his penthouse apartment with a smile on his face. Sunlight streamed through floor-to-ceiling windows, illuminating the sleek modern furniture and abstract art that decorated his private space. Everything was exactly as expensive and perfect as money could make it. And for the first time in years, it felt completely wrong. He wanted to wake up in a modest apartment with worn furniture and Blessing's artwork on the walls. He wanted morning chaos and burned toast and arguments over who used all the hot water. He wanted real life, messy and complicated and beautiful. His phone buzzed. A text from Rochelle. Good morning. Blessing wants to know if you're coming over for pancakes. Nathan typed back immediately. On my way. Save me the burnt ones. How did you know I burned them? Lucky guess. See you in 30 minutes. He showered and dressed quickly, choosing casual clothes, dark jeans and a blue sweater. His driver, Edmund, was waiting in the lobby. Morning, Edmund. We're going to Cypress Street. Again, sir? Edmund's tone was carefully neutral, but Nathan caught the hint of amusement. Again. And probably every morning from now on, so adjust the schedule accordingly. Understood, sir. The drive through morning traffic gave Nathan time to think. Last night had changed everything. No more pretending their connection was just friendship or gratitude. They'd acknowledged their feelings, crossed the line from complicated to impossible to going back. Now came the hard part, figuring out how to actually make this work. He arrived at the apartment to find Blessing already at the door, still in pajamas decorated with cartoon stars. You're here. Mama said you might not come because you had important businessman things. Nothing's more important than burnt pancakes with my favorite people, Nathan said, scooping her up despite her protest that she was too big to be carried. Inside, Rochelle stood at the stove, flipping pancakes with more enthusiasm than skill. She wore yoga pants and an old t-shirt, her hair pulled back in a messy ponytail. She'd never looked more beautiful. Don't say it, she warned as Nathan approached. I know they're burnt. I like them that way. Adds character. Liar. But she was smiling. They ate breakfast together, the three of them crowded around the small table. Blessing monopolized conversation, talking about an upcoming school project about career goals. I think I want to be a doctor like Dr. Brennan. Or maybe a business person like Nathan. Or maybe both. Can you be both? You can be anything you work hard enough to become, Nathan assured her. Even an astronaut? Especially an astronaut. After breakfast, while Blessing got ready for school, Nathan helped Rochelle clean up. They moved around the kitchen in comfortable silence, shoulders occasionally brushing, smiles exchanged in passing. I've been thinking, Rochelle said as she dried dishes. About us. About how this looks. Nathan's stomach tightened. Having second thoughts? No. But we need to be realistic. People at work are going to talk. Some will say I'm only with you for money. That this is transactional. Let them talk. Easy for you to say. You're the boss. I'm the employee you rescued from poverty who's now dating you. The optics are terrible. Nathan set down the pan he'd been washing. Do you care what they think? I care what you think. I care that people might question your judgment. I don't want to hurt your reputation. Rochelle, look at me. He waited until she met his eyes. I've spent 20 years building a reputation as a ruthless businessman who only cares about profit margins. If falling in love with you damages that reputation, good. It needed damaging. I'd rather be known as the CEO who chose love over appearances than the CEO who's alone in his penthouse every night. You're not worried at all? Not even a little. Are you? Rochelle considered the question. Maybe a little. I've always had to prove myself. Being the charity case who ended up dating the boss fits every negative stereotype. Then we prove them wrong. You're already doing that. Your work speaks for itself. The community programs you've developed are getting attention from other companies. You earned your position. But I only got it because you offered it. I offered it because you're qualified. Would it make you feel better if I wasn't involved in your supervision? I can assign you to report to Margaret in HR. Create separation between our professional and personal relationships. Rochelle thought about this. Actually, yes. That would help. Done. I'll arrange it today. Blessing emerged from her bedroom, backpack on, wearing a bright red dress and mismatched socks. Ready for school. Nathan, are you driving us? If that's okay with your mother. More than okay, Rochelle said. They took Nathan's car to Blessing's school, a public elementary in a neighborhood that was rough around the edges but full of community pride. Teachers stood at the entrance greeting students. Blessing's teacher, Ms. Lopez, waved when she saw them approaching. Good morning, Blessing. And Ms. Richardson, good to see you looking so healthy. We were all worried when you were in the hospital. Much better now, thank you. Ms. Lopez noticed Nathan standing slightly behind them. Her eyes widened in recognition. Mr. Sullivan? I thought that was you. Your foundation donated new computers to our school last year. The kids love them. I'm glad they're being used well. Are you friends with the Richardsons? Very good friends, Nathan confirmed, his hand finding Rochelle's and squeezing gently. Ms. Lopez's expression showed she understood exactly what kind of friends they were, but her smile remained warm. How wonderful. Blessing is such a special child. You're lucky to have her in your life. I know, Nathan said sincerely. Blessing hugged them both goodbye and ran off to join her classmates. As they walked back to the car, Rochelle said quietly, That's the first person outside our bubble who knows. Tomorrow the whole school will know. By next week it'll be all over social media. Does that bother you? A little. But also it felt good. Not hiding. Being honest about what we are. And what are we? Nathan asked, opening the car door for her. Rochelle slid into the seat and looked up at him with a soft smile. We're together. We're a family. We're figuring it out as we go. I can live with that definition. They drove to Sullivan Industries together, arriving 15 minutes before the official start of business. In the parking garage before they got out, Nathan turned to Rochelle. I know this is complicated. I know there are going to be challenges and gossip and people who don't understand. But I want you to know something. I don't regret a single moment. I don't regret the day Blessing walked into my office. I don't regret falling in love with you. Whatever happens, whatever we face, we'll handle it together. Rochelle leaned across the console and kissed him softly. Together, she agreed. They entered the building separately, maintaining professional distance. But Jennifer, waiting in Nathan's office with his morning schedule, took one look at his face and grinned. You told her. How did you? You're smiling. You never smile before your first meeting. So either you told her or you won the lottery. Nathan settled into his desk chair. We're together. Officially. Thank goodness. The pining was getting painful to watch. Jennifer pulled up her tablet. Speaking of which, I should probably give you a heads up. The board meeting this afternoon includes a discussion about your personal life. Nathan's smile faded. Excuse me? Gregory Thompson requested agenda time. He's concerned about your relationship with Ms. Richardson. Potential conflicts of interest, appearance of impropriety, that sort of thing. That's not board business. He's making it board business. He's worried it affects the company's image and your decision-making capabilities. Nathan felt anger flash hot and quick. My personal life is none of his concern. I agree. But he's within his rights to raise it. Apparently several board members have expressed similar concerns privately. Let them. I'll address it directly this afternoon. Nathan, Jennifer said carefully, be smart about this. Thompson has influence. If you come in defensive or angry, you'll lose support. You need to be calm, rational, and make it clear that this relationship doesn't compromise your professional judgment. It doesn't. I know. But you need to convince them. The morning passed in a blur of meetings and emails. Nathan found his concentration shot, his mind constantly drifting to Rochelle, to Blessing, to the coming confrontation. He'd faced hostile takeovers, corporate espionage, and near bankruptcy. But defending his right to love someone felt more difficult than any business challenge. At 2 o'clock he entered the boardroom. 16 people sat around the long table, all watching him with varying degrees of interest and concern. Gregory Thompson sat at the far end, his expression neutral but his posture radiating judgment. Let's get to the elephant in the room, Nathan said without preamble. My relationship with Rochelle Richardson. I'm told there are concerns. Let's hear them. Thompson cleared his throat. Nathan, we all respect your right to a personal life. However, there are appearances to consider. Ms. Richardson came to this company under unusual circumstances. You personally funded her medical care, housing, and then hired her. Now you're dating her. It looks like quid pro quo. Like she had no choice but to accept your advances. That's insulting to both of us, Nathan said evenly. Rochelle is a grown woman who makes her own choices. She's not with me because she owes me. She's with me because we care about each other. From your perspective, perhaps. But how does it look to our investors? Our partners? We have a reputation to maintain. A reputation for what? Making money? We do that well. Treating employees fairly? We do that too. If our reputation can't survive the CEO falling in love with a woman who happens to work here, then maybe it's not a reputation worth having. Board member Patricia Chen leaned forward. Nathan, no one doubts your sincerity. But there are legal concerns. If this relationship ends badly, Ms. Richardson could claim sexual harassment. That she felt pressured to date you to keep her job. Which is why I'm removing myself from her supervision chain, Nathan explained. As of today, she reports to Margaret in HR. I have no direct professional authority over her. Her job security is independent of our relationship. That helps, Patricia acknowledged. But it doesn't eliminate all risk. Nothing eliminates all risk, Nathan said. Life is risk. Love is risk. If you want a CEO who plays it safe, who never takes chances, who makes decisions based solely on optics and liability concerns, then you need a different person in this chair. Because that's not who I am. The room fell silent. Thompson tried again. We're just asking you to think carefully. Maybe take some time. Make sure this isn't a phase or reaction to stress. Nathan stood, placing both hands flat on the table. Gentlemen, ladies, let me be absolutely clear. Rochelle Richardson and her daughter Blessing are the best things that have ever happened to me. They've reminded me why I built this company in the first place. Not to make money for shareholders, though we do that well. But to have the resources to help people, to make a difference, to matter beyond just profit margins. He made eye contact with each board member. If you want me to choose between this company and that family, I choose the family. Every time. Without hesitation. So either you accept that I'm in love and moving forward with my personal life while continuing to run this company effectively, or you find a new CEO. Those are your options. The silence was deafening. Finally, Patricia spoke. That won't be necessary. I think Nathan has addressed our concerns adequately. The relationship is clearly consensual, appropriate safeguards are being implemented, and his professional performance remains exemplary. I see no reason to pursue this further. Other board members nodded agreement. Thompson looked like he wanted to argue but recognized he was outvoted. Good, Nathan said. Now, can we discuss actual business? The meeting continued, but Nathan's mind was elsewhere. He'd just put his career on the line for Rochelle. And he'd do it again without a second thought. After the meeting, he found Jennifer waiting outside his office. How did it go? I think I either secured their respect or ensured my eventual firing. Hard to say. My money's on respect. That speech about choosing family over the company? Half the board looked ready to cry. Nathan laughed. I meant every word. I know. That's why it worked. He checked his phone. A text from Rochelle. Heard there was drama at the board meeting. You okay? Nathan replied, perfect. Thompson tried to make an issue of us. I made it clear you're worth more than this company. Call you after work? You said what? Nathan, you can't risk your company for me. Already did. No regrets. Talk tonight. He put his phone away and looked at Jennifer. Clear my evening schedule. I'm having dinner with my family. Jennifer smiled. Already done. 3 weeks after the board meeting, life had settled into a new rhythm. Nathan spent every evening at Rochelle's apartment unless work demanded otherwise. Weekends were reserved for family time, park visits, museum trips, movies, or simply staying home together. The three of them had become a unit, comfortable and natural. But the conversation they needed to have kept getting postponed. The official, serious conversation about what they were building and where it was going. Tonight that would change. Sullivan Industries was hosting its annual community benefit gala, a black tie event that raised millions for local charities. Nathan had attended dozens of these over the years, always alone or with a professional date who understood it was business networking disguised as a party. This year Rochelle would be on his arm. Officially. Publicly. In front of every major business leader and socialite in the city. She was terrified. I don't belong at something like this, she said for the 100th time, standing in her bedroom while Blessing and Jennifer helped her get ready. You absolutely belong, Jennifer countered, adjusting the strap of Rochelle's dress. You're the director of our most successful community program. You have every right to be there. As an employee, yes. But as Nathan's date? That's different. Why? Blessing asked, sprawled on the bed watching the preparations. You're together. Everyone already knows. Why is this scary? Because these are his people, baby. Wealthy, powerful, important people who have known him for years. I'm going to stick out. Good, Jennifer said firmly. Stick out. Be memorable. Show them exactly who you are and why Nathan is lucky to have you. The dress Jennifer had helped select was stunning. A floor-length gown in deep maroon that complemented Rochelle's skin tone perfectly. Not too flashy, not too conservative. Elegant and confident. Her hair was styled in soft curls, her makeup subtle but polished. When she finally looked in the mirror, Rochelle barely recognized herself. Mama, you look like a princess, Blessing breathed. I look like I'm playing dress-up. You look beautiful, Jennifer corrected. Nathan is going to lose his mind when he sees you. Right on cue, the doorbell rang. Nathan had offered to pick her up personally, wanting to arrive at the gala together rather than meeting there. Blessing ran to answer it while Rochelle took one final nervous breath. Nathan stood in the doorway wearing a perfectly tailored black tuxedo with a maroon pocket square that matched her dress. They hadn't coordinated intentionally, but Jennifer had worked her magic behind the scenes. When he saw Rochelle, he went completely still. Hi, she said nervously. You're breathtaking, he said simply. Blessing giggled. That's what Mama said about you. Did she now? Nathan couldn't take his eyes off Rochelle. We should go, Rochelle said, grabbing a small clutch. Don't want to be late. 1 second. Nathan crossed to her and pulled out a small jewelry box. I got you something. For tonight. Nathan, you've already given me so much. Just open it. Inside was a delicate necklace, a simple gold chain with a small pendant shaped like a star. Not ostentatious or expensive looking, but beautiful in its simplicity. It's perfect, Rochelle whispered. Nathan fastened it around her neck, his fingers gentle on her skin. The pendant represents blessing. Her name. Because she brought us together. Rochelle's eyes filled with tears. You're going to ruin my makeup. Jennifer can fix it, Nathan said, making Jennifer laugh. They said goodbye to Blessing, who was staying with Jennifer's teenage daughter for the evening. The drive to the gala venue took 30 minutes, giving them time to talk. I'm nervous, Rochelle admitted. Me too. You? Why? Because tonight makes us official in a way we haven't been before. Everyone I know professionally will see us together. Judge us. Judge you. I'm worried they'll say things that hurt you. I can handle gossip. I know you can. But I don't want you to have to. Rochelle took his hand. Nathan, I knew what I was signing up for when I agreed to this. Well, maybe not exactly, but close enough. I'm choosing you with full knowledge of the complications. Don't protect me from reality. Just stand beside me through it. Always, Nathan promised. The gala was held at the grand ballroom of the historic Westmont Hotel. Chandeliers dripped crystal light over polished marble floors. Round tables draped in white linen filled the space, each topped with elaborate floral centerpieces. A string quartet played soft classical music while guests mingled, champagne glasses in hand. When Nathan and Rochelle entered, conversations paused. Heads turned. Eyes assessed. Nathan felt Rochelle tense beside him. He squeezed her hand gently and led her into the room with confidence, refusing to act like there was anything unusual about their presence together. Patricia Chin, Nathan's mother, was one of the first to approach. She wore a silver gown and a warm smile. Rochelle dear, you look absolutely lovely. Nathan, stop monopolizing her. I want to introduce her to some people. For the next hour, Patricia guided Rochelle through the social waters with expert grace. She introduced her to board members' spouses, local philanthropists, and community leaders. Each time, Patricia made it clear that Rochelle was with Nathan and had Patricia's full blessing. Nathan watched from a distance, his heart full. His mother, protective and sometimes judgmental, had completely embraced Rochelle. That meant everything. During dinner, they sat at the head table with other company executives and their partners. Conversation flowed easily, the wine helped, and Rochelle charmed everyone with her genuine warmth and sharp intelligence. Gregory Thompson, seated nearby, remained noticeably cool. When Rochelle excused herself to use the restroom, he leaned toward Nathan. She's handling this better than I expected. Because she's capable and confident, Nathan said evenly. Still a risk, this whole situation. Life is risk, Gregory. We've had this conversation. Just looking out for you. Then support my choices instead of questioning them. Thompson shrugged and returned to his meal. Nathan watched Rochelle across the room, talking with Patricia and laughing at something his mother said. She belonged here not because of money or status, but because she was herself. That was enough. After dinner, dancing began. Nathan led Rochelle to the floor as the quartet played something slow and romantic. She fit perfectly in his arms, moving with natural grace. You're good at this, Nathan murmured. I used to dance with Blessing in our living room. She'd stand on my feet and we'd spin around. This is much easier. Think she'll let me have my turn dancing with her? I think you already have your turn. She adores you. The feeling is mutual. They danced in comfortable silence for a moment, then Rochelle said quietly, Nathan, I need to tell you something. Sounds serious. Maybe. I've been thinking about us. About where this is going. Nathan's heart rate increased. And I'm all in. Completely. I know we've only been together officially for a few weeks, but it feels right. It feels like this is exactly where I'm supposed to be. Relief and joy flooded through Nathan. I feel the same way. But I'm also scared, Rochelle admitted. What if I mess this up? What if Blessing gets too attached and something goes wrong? What if I'm not enough for your world? Nathan stopped dancing, holding her still in the middle of the floor while other couples swirled around them. Rochelle, listen to me. You are more than enough. You've always been enough. My world isn't better than yours. It's just different. And honestly, I prefer your world. I prefer burnt pancakes and homework help and falling asleep on the couch while watching movies. That's real. This, he gestured at the elaborate ballroom, is just costume and performance. But you're good at it. This is your natural habitat. No, Nathan said firmly. My natural habitat is wherever you and Blessing are. That tiny apartment has become more home to me than my penthouse ever was. Rochelle's eyes glistened. You mean that? I mean every word. And I need to tell you something too. Something I've been working up the courage to say for weeks. What? Nathan took a deep breath. This wasn't the proposal. That would come later, privately, with Blessing involved. But this was important too. I love you, he said simply. I'm in love with you. Completely, irrevocably, no going back in love. You changed my life the day Blessing walked into my office. You reminded me what really matters. And now I can't imagine my future without you in it. Tears spilled down Rochelle's cheeks. I love you too. So much it scares me sometimes. Don't be scared. I've got you. Always. He kissed her there, in the middle of the dance floor, in front of everyone who mattered in his professional life. It was a claim and a promise and a declaration all at once. When they broke apart, scattered applause rippled through the room. Patricia was clapping loudest, tears on her own cheeks. Rochelle laughed, embarrassed. Everyone's watching. Let them watch, Nathan said. Let them see exactly how much you mean to me. They danced the rest of the evening, talked with guests, and raised a record-breaking amount for charity. But the real victory was the confidence in Rochelle's eyes by the end of the night. She'd faced his world and conquered it simply by being herself. On the drive home, she leaned against Nathan's shoulder. Thank you for tonight. For what? For showing me I belong. For not letting me hide. For loving me enough to be public about it. There's nowhere else I'd rather be and no one else I'd rather be with. They picked up Blessing from Jennifer's house. The little girl was half asleep but insisted on hearing about the gala. Back at the apartment, they changed into comfortable clothes and settled on the couch together, all three of them squeezed onto the small space. This is perfect, Blessing mumbled, nestled between them. Yes, Nathan agreed, his arm around Rochelle, the little girl's head on his lap. This is perfect. And for the first time in his adult life, Nathan meant it completely. He'd achieved success, wealth, and power. But this simple moment of family and love, was what he'd been searching for all along. He just hadn't known it until a brave little girl taught him what really mattered. 6 months into their relationship, life had transformed in ways Nathan could never have imagined. He'd moved out of his sterile penthouse and into a 3-bedroom house in a quiet neighborhood with good schools. Not a mansion, not the kind of property his wealth could easily afford, but a real home with a backyard where Blessing could play and space for all of them to grow together. Rochelle and Blessing had moved in 2 months prior, after much discussion and careful consideration. They'd kept the apartment as well just in case, but none of them believed they'd need to go back. This house had become their sanctuary. It was a Saturday morning in late spring, and Nathan woke to the sound of laughter drifting up from the kitchen. He stretched, enjoying the rare luxury of sleeping past 6, and padded downstairs in sweatpants and a t-shirt. Blessing stood on a step stool at the counter, flour dusting her nose, enthusiastically mixing something in a large bowl. Rochelle supervised, her hair wrapped in a scarf, wearing one of Nathan's old t-shirts over leggings. Morning, Nathan said, kissing Rochelle's cheek and ruffling Blessing's hair. We're making blueberry muffins, Blessing announced. From scratch. Mama said you used to bake with your mother when you were little. Nathan felt unexpected emotion tighten his throat. He'd mentioned that memory once, months ago. Rochelle had remembered. I did, he confirmed. Though mine never turned out as good as hers. These are going to be amazing, Blessing declared. I put in extra blueberries. Extra is always good. They baked together, the kitchen filling with warmth and the sweet smell of muffins. When they finally emerged from the oven, golden and perfect, Blessing did a victory dance that made both adults laugh. After breakfast, Nathan's mother called. She'd become a regular presence in their lives, showing up for Sunday dinners and treating Blessing like the grandchild she'd never had. Nathan dear, are you free for lunch tomorrow? I'd like to discuss something with you and Rochelle. What kind of something? A good something. Just come. 1 o'clock at Riverside Bistro. She hung up before he could ask more questions. Nathan relayed the message to Rochelle, who looked curious but not concerned. Your mother has been wonderful to us, she said. Whatever it is, I'm sure it's fine. Sunday afternoon found them at Riverside Bistro, an upscale restaurant with a view of the water. Patricia Sullivan sat at a corner table, elegant in a blue dress, her expression warm but serious. Thank you for coming, she said after they'd ordered. I wanted to talk to you both about something important. You're making us nervous, Mom, Nathan said. Patricia smiled. No need. Actually, I want to ask you something, Rochelle. Do you plan to marry my son? Rochelle nearly choked on her water. Nathan's eyes went wide. Mom? It's a fair question, Patricia said calmly. You've been together 6 months. You're living together. You're raising Blessing as a family. I'm just curious about your intentions. Rochelle recovered her composure. Mrs. Sullivan. Patricia, please. Patricia, Nathan and I haven't discussed marriage. We're taking things one step at a time. Why? Because it's smart. Because we want to be sure. Are you not sure? Patricia looked between them. Because from where I sit, I've never seen two people more sure of anything. Nathan reached for Rochelle's hand under the table. Mom, what's this really about? Patricia set down her menu and leaned forward. This is about me watching my son fall in love for the first time in his life. Really, truly love someone. And watching that woman love him back just as hard. This is about seeing my son come alive in ways I never thought possible. And wanting to make sure you both know how special that is. Her eyes glistened. Nathan, your father passed when you were so young. You had to grow up too fast, become the man of the house, take care of me and your sisters. You never got to just be a person with feelings and wants. You were always taking care of everyone else. She turned to Rochelle. And you, my dear, grew up without any family at all. Bouncing between homes, never having anyone permanent. Both of you learned to be strong and independent because you had to be. But now you have each other. You don't have to be strong alone anymore. Patricia pulled out an envelope and slid it across the table. This is for you both. It's a trust fund for Blessing's education. Whatever she wants to study, wherever she wants to go, it's covered. And before you protest, she held up a hand as both Nathan and Rochelle tried to speak. This is not charity. This is family taking care of family. Blessing is my granddaughter in every way that matters. Let me do this. Rochelle's hands shook as she opened the envelope. The numbers inside made her gasp. Patricia, this is too much. It's a drop in the bucket compared to what you've given us, Patricia said firmly. You gave my son back to me. The real him, not the workaholic who only called on holidays. You gave him joy and purpose and love. That's worth more than any amount of money. Nathan felt his own eyes fill. His mother reached across and took both their hands. So my question stands. Do you plan to marry my son? Because if you do, I'd like to start planning a proper wedding. And if you don't, that's fine too. But either way, know that you're already family to me. Rochelle looked at Nathan, questions in her eyes. He squeezed her hand gently, a silent message, we'll talk about this later. To Patricia, Rochelle said softly, I love your son more than I knew it was possible to love someone. And if he asks me to marry him, I'll say yes without hesitation. Nathan's heart stopped, then started racing. You will. Of course I will. Did you think I wouldn't? I didn't know. I was planning to ask, but I wanted more time, wanted to make sure you were ready. I've been ready since the night you told the board you'd choose us over the company, Rochelle said. I just didn't want to push. Didn't want you to feel obligated. Patricia laughed, delighted. Oh, this is wonderful. Nathan, you're asking her, right? Please tell me you're planning to ask her. I was planning an elaborate proposal, Nathan admitted. Something special and memorable. Do it simple, Rochelle said. We don't need elaborate. We need real. Nathan looked at the woman across from him, the woman who'd changed everything. He thought about the ring he'd already purchased and hidden in his office safe. He thought about all the careful plans he'd been making. And then he thought about what Rochelle just said, we need real. He stood up, walked around the table and got down on one knee right there in the restaurant. Nathan, what are you doing? Rochelle whispered, her face flushing. Something real, he said simply. Rochelle Richardson, you walked into my life as part of a package deal with the bravest little girl I've ever met. You taught me what actually matters. You showed me that strength isn't about money or power. It's about showing up every day and choosing love even when it's hard. You made me want to be better, do better, live better. Other diners were noticing now, conversations pausing, heads turning. I don't have the ring with me, Nathan continued. I was saving it for some perfect moment. But this is the perfect moment. Right now, with my mother crying happy tears and you looking at me like I'm worth loving. I don't want to wait anymore. I want to marry you. I want to officially become Blessing's father. I want to build a life with you that's about more than just surviving. I want everything, Rochelle. Will you marry me? Tears streamed down Rochelle's face. You're doing this without a ring, in the middle of a restaurant, completely unplanned? Yes. Is that okay? It's perfect. She pulled him up and kissed him hard. Yes. Yes, I'll marry you. 1,000 times yes. The restaurant burst into applause. Patricia was openly crying. Strangers at nearby tables called out congratulations. Nathan held Rochelle close, feeling her shake with laughter and tears. "I really don't have the ring with me," he whispered. "I feel like I should have thought this through better." "You thought it through perfectly," Rochelle whispered back. "This is exactly what I needed. Real and spontaneous and from the heart." Patricia came around the table and hugged them both. "Welcome to the family officially. Now can we please tell Blessing? I can't wait to see her face." They drove home together, all three of them giddy with excitement. Blessing was at a friend's house for a playdate. They picked her up, thanked the other parents and took her to the park. On a bench overlooking the playground, Nathan and Rochelle sat on either side of Blessing. "We need to tell you something important," Rochelle began. Blessing looked between them, eyes wide. "What?" "I asked your mother to marry me today," Nathan said. "And she said yes." For a moment Blessing just stared. Then she screamed, a sound of pure joy that startled birds from nearby trees. She launched herself at Nathan, then Rochelle, then back to Nathan, hugging them so hard she nearly knocked them off the bench. "Really? Really? You're getting married? You're going to be my dad? Like official and forever?" "Official and forever," Nathan confirmed. "If that's okay with you." "If that's okay? It's the best thing ever. Wait until I tell everyone at school. Wait until I tell Grandma Patricia." "Oh wait, she already knows, doesn't she?" "She does," Rochelle said laughing. "She was there when it happened. Tell me everything. Every single detail." They sat on that park bench for an hour talking about the proposal, about wedding plans, about what their future would look like. Blessing had opinions on everything. The wedding should have lots of flowers, she wanted to be a junior bridesmaid, and could they please have chocolate cake because vanilla was boring. As the sun started setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, Nathan looked at his family. His family. The word still felt new and wonderful. "I love you both," he said simply. "We love you too," Rochelle replied, Blessing nodding enthusiastically in agreement. They walked home together as darkness fell, Blessing skipping ahead, Rochelle's hand in Nathan's. Life had taken an unexpected turn 6 months ago when a desperate little girl had walked into his office with $5. Now he had everything money couldn't buy: love, family, purpose, and a future that stretched out bright with possibility. Sometimes the best investments weren't measured in dollars. Sometimes they were measured in burnt pancakes, homework help, and small hands trusting yours. Nathan had built an empire. But this small family, was his greatest achievement. And he'd spend the rest of his life making sure they knew it. Nathan's family was larger than Rochelle had realized. Beyond Patricia, there were 2 sisters, various aunts and uncles, and a collection of cousins who seemed to materialize once word of the engagement spread. Patricia insisted on hosting a family dinner so everyone could meet Rochelle and Blessing properly. "It won't be that bad," Nathan promised as they drove to his mother's estate the following weekend. "They're mostly harmless." "Mostly?" Rochelle adjusted her green blouse nervously. "That's not reassuring." "Mama, stop worrying," Blessing said from the back seat. She wore a bright blue dress and white shoes, her hair done in elaborate braids that had taken Rochelle 2 hours to complete. "Grandma Patricia loves us. Everyone else will too." "Blessing's right," Nathan agreed. "Mom has been telling everyone about you for months. They're all curious but friendly." Patricia's home was elegant but not ostentatious, a sprawling ranch-style house with a beautiful garden in back. When they arrived, cars already lined the circular driveway. Nathan's older sister, Claire, opened the door. She was tall and striking with the same dark eyes as Nathan. "Finally. We've been waiting forever." She pulled Rochelle into an unexpected hug. "I'm so happy to meet you. Nathan has talked about nothing else for months." "That's not true," Nathan protested. "It absolutely is," Claire laughed. "And you must be Blessing. I hear you're brilliant at math." "I like numbers," Blessing said shyly. Come in. Everyone's in the backyard." The backyard was transformed with string lights, tables laden with food, and at least 30 people milling around with drinks. Rochelle's stomach dropped. This was so much more than a simple family dinner. Patricia appeared immediately, taking Rochelle's arm. "Don't look so terrified, dear. Yes, I invited everyone. But it's not an interrogation. It's a celebration. Let me introduce you around." The next hour passed in a blur of names and faces. Nathan's younger sister, Amanda, was warm and funny, immediately bonding with Blessing over a shared love of art. The cousins were friendly and curious. The aunts were motherly and welcoming. Only one person seemed less than thrilled: Aunt Margaret, Patricia's sister-in-law, a severe woman in her 70s who watched Rochelle with sharp, assessing eyes. During dinner, seated at a long table under the stars, Aunt Margaret spoke up. "So, Rochelle, Nathan mentioned you grew up in foster care. How many homes were you in?" The table went quiet. Nathan's hand found Rochelle's under the table. 7 homes from ages 3 to 18, Rochelle answered evenly. "It was difficult, but it taught me resilience." "And Blessing's father? Where is he?" "Margaret," Patricia said sharply, "that's inappropriate." "I'm just getting to know our newest family member," Margaret said innocently. "Surely these are reasonable questions." Nathan started to speak, but Rochelle squeezed his hand. She could fight her own battles. "Blessing's father left before she was born," Rochelle said calmly. "His loss. She's the best thing in my life, and I've raised her alone until now. I'm not ashamed of our story, Aunt Margaret. We've worked hard, overcome obstacles, and built a good life despite difficult circumstances. That's something to be proud of, not questioned." Margaret's eyes narrowed. "I'm just concerned about motives. Nathan is a very wealthy man." "Margaret." Patricia stood up. "That's enough." But Rochelle remained calm. "You're concerned I'm with Nathan for money? I understand. From your perspective, it looks suspicious. Poor single mother meets billionaire, gets help, now they're engaged. I'd be suspicious too." She looked around the table, meeting eyes openly. "But here's the truth, I didn't want Nathan's help initially. I was embarrassed and proud. Blessing is the one who sought him out. And yes, he helped us financially. But what I fell in love with wasn't his money. It was his kindness. His patience with an 8-year-old girl who asked him a million questions. The way he showed up every single day, not because he had to, but because he wanted to. The way he treated me like an equal, not a charity case." She turned to Nathan. "I love you because you're generous with the things that actually matter. Time, attention, genuine care. The money made our lives easier, but it didn't make me love you. Your character did." The silence that followed was heavy. Then Blessing spoke up, her young voice clear and strong. "My mama is the best person in the whole world. She worked 2 jobs so I could have birthday parties and Christmas presents. She never complained even when she was tired and sick. She taught me to be brave and kind. And Nathan loves us because we're good people, not because we need his money. If you can't see that, then you're not very smart." Several people tried to hide smiles. Nathan's cousin David actually laughed out loud. Margaret looked taken aback. Patricia was beaming. Nathan pulled both Rochelle and Blessing close. "She's 8 years old and has more sense than some adults I know," Nathan said, looking pointedly at Margaret. "And she's absolutely right. I'm the lucky one here. Not because I have money to give, but because they chose to let me into their lives." Amanda raised her glass. "I'll drink to that. Welcome to the family, Rochelle and Blessing. We're better for having you." "To family," everyone echoed, glasses clinking. Margaret remained silent but eventually nodded slightly, a grudging acceptance. The dinner continued with lighter conversation. Wedding plans, work stories, embarrassing childhood tales about Nathan that made Blessing giggle. Later, as dessert was served, Claire pulled Rochelle aside. "Don't mind Margaret," she said quietly. "She means well but expresses it terribly." She was concerned because Nathan was hurt badly in his first marriage. His ex-wife did marry him for money and status. Left him when things got difficult. Margaret just doesn't want to see him hurt again. "I would never," Rochelle said firmly. "We know. Anyone with eyes can see how you look at him. And how he looks at you. I've never seen my brother this happy, this present in his own life. You did that. He did it for himself. I just gave him a reason." Claire smiled. "You're exactly what this family needs. Someone grounded and real. We've been surrounded by pretense for too long." The evening ended with hugs and promises to get together soon. As they drove home, Blessing chattering excitedly about all her new relatives, Nathan glanced at Rochelle. "You handled Margaret perfectly. She's protective of you. I can respect that. You were amazing. The whole speech about why you love me? I'll remember that forever. I meant every word." Back home, after Blessing was tucked into bed, Nathan and Rochelle sat on the back porch, stars bright overhead. "Your family is wonderful," Rochelle said. "Overwhelming but wonderful. They loved you. Even Margaret, though she'll never admit it. Did you see her smile when Blessing called her not very smart?" "I saw. That kid is fearless. Gets it from her mother." They sat in comfortable silence, Nathan's arm around Rochelle's shoulders. 6 months ago she'd been alone and desperate. Now she had this, a man she loved, a family that accepted her, and a future full of promise. "Nathan." "Oh?" Thank you for today. For standing up for us. For not letting anyone make us feel less than. You're not less than anyone, Rochelle. You're extraordinary. And I'll spend the rest of my life making sure you know it. She kissed him softly. I love you. I love you too. Both of you. My whole family. Inside, through the window, they could see Blessing's room lights still on. She was probably reading when she should be sleeping. But neither of them had the heart to stop her. Let her read. Let her be happy. Let this family they built together just exist in its imperfect, beautiful way. Tomorrow would bring new challenges. But tonight they had this peace, love, and belonging. And that was more than enough. Nathan had a ring now, an elegant but not ostentatious diamond set in platinum. He'd been carrying it in his jacket pocket for 2 weeks, waiting for the perfect moment for a proper, planned proposal. The spontaneous restaurant moment had been genuine, but he wanted to give Rochelle something special, something she could tell their grandchildren about someday. The plan came together quickly once he committed to it. He would recreate their first meeting but transform it into something beautiful. The lobby of Sullivan Industries, where Blessing had bravely approached him, would become the setting for the official proposal. Jennifer was instrumental in the planning, arranging every detail with her usual efficiency. The proposal was scheduled for Saturday afternoon, under the guise of a photo shoot for a magazine article about Sullivan Industries' community programs. Rochelle wouldn't suspect anything. Saturday morning, Nathan woke early, nerves making sleep impossible. He checked in with Jennifer 3 times, drove her crazy with questions about timing and setup, and generally acted like a nervous wreck. Nathan, Jennifer said on the 3rd call, everything is perfect. The flowers are being delivered at noon. The photographer we hired to document it is already there. The quartet is setting up. Stop calling me and go get ready. What if she says no? She already said yes once. She's not going to change her mind now. What if Blessing doesn't like the surprise? Blessing has been in on the planning for 2 weeks. She's more excited than you are. Now go. Be there at 2 o'clock. Everything else is handled. Nathan hung up and looked at himself in the mirror. He'd chosen a dark blue suit with a white shirt and no tie. Dressy but not overly formal. The ring box sat on the dresser, small but heavy with significance. This was it. The moment that would officially bind their lives together. He'd negotiated billion-dollar deals without this level of anxiety. But none of those deals had mattered like this one. At the apartment, Blessing was bouncing with excitement. She wore a bright red dress that Nathan had bought specifically for today, her hair done in the elaborate braided style she loved. I can't believe Mama doesn't know, she whispered loudly. This is going to be the best surprise ever. You haven't told her anything? Nathan asked. Not one word. I'm very good at keeping secrets. Rochelle emerged from the bedroom wearing the maroon dress from the gala, at Nathan's request. She thought they were doing professional photos and had dressed accordingly. You both look very serious, she said, noticing their expressions. Is something wrong? Nothing's wrong, Nathan assured her. Ready to go? The drive to Sullivan Industries took 20 minutes. Nathan held Rochelle's hand the entire time, his palms slightly sweaty. She noticed but attributed it to stress about the photo shoot. It's just pictures, she said soothingly. You've done a million of these. I know. But this one feels important. They all feel important to you. That's what makes you good at what you do. They pulled into the underground parking garage and took the elevator to the lobby level. When the doors opened, Rochelle gasped. The entire lobby had been transformed. Hundreds of white roses covered every available surface, their fragrance filling the air. Soft lights illuminated the space from hidden sources. A string quartet played softly in one corner. And in the center, on the exact spot where Blessing had first approached Nathan 6 months ago, was a small display. A framed photograph of that day, security footage that Jennifer had retrieved, surrounded by candles and flowers. What is all this? Rochelle breathed. Nathan took her hand and led her into the space. Blessing skipped ahead, taking her position beside the display as they'd practiced. This, Nathan said, his voice echoing slightly in the grand space, is where everything changed. 6 months ago, a brave little girl walked into this building with $5 and a desperate hope. She found me and in doing so saved me. Rochelle's eyes were already filling with tears. I was lost, Nathan continued. I'd built this empire but forgotten why. I had money and power but no purpose. Then Blessing reminded me what actually mattered. She brought me to you. And you, Rochelle, taught me what love really means. He led her to the center, to the framed photo. In it, he was crouched down, talking to a small, wet girl who was holding up a $5 bill. The image captured the exact moment his life had changed. I asked you to marry me 2 weeks ago in a restaurant without a ring, completely unplanned. That was real and genuine, and I'll never regret it. But I wanted to give you this too. Something planned and beautiful and worthy of the moment when I officially ask you to be my wife. Nathan got down on one knee, exactly where he'd knelt to talk to Blessing that first day. He pulled out the ring box and opened it, revealing the diamond that caught the light and threw rainbows across the marble floor. Rochelle Richardson, you are the strongest, kindest, most remarkable woman I've ever known. You turned my company building into a home when you agreed to work here. You turned my empty house into a real home when you moved in. You turned my life into something meaningful when you agreed to love me. Will you marry me? Will you let me spend the rest of my life showing you how extraordinary you are? Will you be my wife? Rochelle was crying openly now, her hands over her mouth. Blessing bounced excitedly beside them. Say yes, Mama. Say yes. Rochelle laughed through her tears. Yes, of course yes. I already said yes, but yes again. Yes forever. Nathan slipped the ring onto her finger, a perfect fit. He stood and pulled her into his arms, kissing her while the quartet swelled into something triumphant and beautiful. Blessing rushed forward, wrapping her arms around both their legs. Group hug. They stood like that for a long moment, the three of them together in the place where their story had begun. Jennifer appeared from wherever she'd been hiding, along with a professional photographer who'd been documenting everything from a discreet distance. Congratulations. Now, can we get some proper photos? The lighting is perfect right now. The next hour was a blur of posed and candid shots. Nathan and Rochelle looking at each other, all three of them laughing together, Blessing showing off her mother's ring to the camera. The photographer captured the joy and love so evident in every frame. When it was finally done, Jennifer handed Rochelle an envelope. From Nathan. He wanted you to have this. Inside were building blueprints. Rochelle studied them, confused. What is this? It's a community center, Nathan explained. Remember your proposal to the board about comprehensive family support? I'm building a facility to house all those programs. Job training, childcare, education, counseling, everything under one roof. And I want you to design and run it. Nathan, this is millions of dollars. Consider it an engagement present. You had the vision. Let's make it real. Rochelle stared at the blueprints, then at Nathan, then back at the plans. This is going to help so many families. That's the idea. You'll have full autonomy to set it up however you think best. Budget, staffing, programs, all of it. This is your project. Our project, Rochelle corrected. We're a team now. Yes, Nathan agreed. We are. They left Sullivan Industries as the sun started setting, painting the sky in brilliant colors. Blessing fell asleep in the back seat on the drive home, exhausted from excitement. I can't believe you did all that, Rochelle said softly. The flowers, the music, the recreation of our first meeting. It was perfect. You deserve perfect. I deserve you. That's more than enough. At home, they carried Blessing to bed, still in her red dress, too tired to change her. They stood in her doorway for a moment, watching her sleep. She's going to officially be your daughter soon, Rochelle whispered. You'll adopt her once we're married? If that's okay with both of you. It's more than okay. She's been yours from the moment you agreed to help us. The paperwork will just make it official. They retreated to their own room, changed into comfortable clothes, and settled into bed together. Nathan. Rochelle said into the darkness. Oh. Thank you for choosing us. For seeing past the desperate situation to the people we are. For loving us not because you had to, but because you wanted to. Nathan pulled her close, her head on his chest. Thank you for letting me. For taking a chance on someone from a completely different world. For teaching me what really matters. We taught each other, Rochelle said. That's what love is. Outside, the city hummed with life. Inside, two people and a child slept peacefully, building toward a future full of promise. Tomorrow they would start planning a wedding. Tomorrow they would begin designing a community center. Tomorrow they would continue building this life they'd chosen together. But tonight, they just held each other and felt grateful for $5, a desperate child's courage, and a chance encounter that had changed everything. Sometimes the best love stories started with the most unlikely beginnings. And sometimes those stories turned out to be the most beautiful of all. 1 year after Blessing walked into Sullivan Industries with $5, the family gathered for their wedding. It was a beautiful Saturday in early June, the botanical garden in full bloom with flowers of every color imaginable. The ceremony would be held outdoors under a floral arch, with 300 guests in attendance, including family, friends, employees, and many of the families that Sullivan Industries programs had helped over the year. Rochelle stood in the bridal suite, studying herself in the full-length mirror. Her wedding dress was simple but elegant, ivory silk with delicate beading, fitted bodice, and a flowing skirt that moved like water. Her hair was styled in soft curls with small flowers woven throughout. She looked like herself, just elevated. "Mama, you're the most beautiful bride ever," Blessing declared. She wore a red dress that matched the wedding colors, holding a basket of rose petals for her role as flower girl. Patricia knocked and entered, elegant in a silver gown. "Oh, Rochelle. You're stunning." "I'm nervous," Rochelle admitted. "That's normal. But you have nothing to worry about. Nathan has been pacing outside for the last hour. The man can negotiate corporate mergers without breaking a sweat, but marrying you has him completely undone." "Really? Really? It's quite adorable actually." Patricia handed her a small box. "This is from Nathan. He wanted you to have it before the ceremony." Inside was a delicate bracelet, simple gold with 3 small charms. A star for blessing, a heart for love, and a tiny building that looked suspiciously like Sullivan Industries. "Where our story began," Rochelle whispered, touching the tiny building charm. "Where all our stories began," Patricia corrected. "That building brought you into our lives. And we're forever grateful." Music swelled outside. It was time. Rochelle had no father to walk her down the aisle, but she'd asked Dr. Brennan. The kind doctor who diagnosed her lupus, who treated her with dignity and respect, who'd become a friend through her recovery. He waited at the entrance to the garden, looking distinguished in his formal suit. "Ready?" he asked, offering his arm. "More than ready." The ceremony was a blur of emotion. Rochelle walked down the aisle to find Nathan waiting at the altar, looking impossibly handsome in his black tuxedo with a red tie. His eyes filled with tears when he saw her, and she had to blink back her own. Blessing walked ahead of them, scattering rose petals with theatrical flair that made the guests laugh. She took her place beside Nathan, beaming with pride. The officiant spoke about love and commitment, about families that are chosen rather than born, about second chances and new beginnings. Then it was time for vows. Nathan went first, his voice steady despite the emotion clearly visible on his face. "Rochelle, 1 year ago I thought I had everything. I was successful, wealthy, powerful. But I was empty. Then your daughter walked into my life and taught me what courage really looks like. She brought me to you and you taught me what love really means. Not the easy, convenient love, but the kind that challenges you to be better, that sees your flaws and loves you anyway, that makes you want to wake up every morning and try harder." He paused, swallowing hard. "You've given me a family, a home, a purpose beyond profit margins. You've shown me that the best investment I can make isn't in stocks or real estate, but in people, and love. In the small, everyday moments that actually matter. I promise to spend the rest of my life being worthy of you. I promise to put you and blessing first always. I promise to be your partner, your supporter, your friend, and your love. Forever." There wasn't a dry eye in the audience. Rochelle took a deep breath and began her own vows. "Nathan, I grew up believing that family was something other people had. Something I'd never be lucky enough to find. I raised Blessing alone and told myself that was enough, that we didn't need anyone else. Then you proved me wrong. You showed me that family isn't just about blood. It's about showing up. It's about choosing someone every single day even when it's hard. It's about love that doesn't come with conditions or expectations." Her voice wavered. "You didn't save me. I want to be clear about that. You gave me tools and resources, yes. But what really changed my life was your respect. The way you treated me as an equal. The way you saw my strength instead of my struggles. The way you loved my daughter like she was already yours. I promise to love you with that same respect. To be your partner, not your project. To build a life with you that's about us, not about what you can give me. I promise to challenge you, support you, and love you. Forever." They exchanged rings, simple platinum bands inscribed with the date Blessing had first approached Nathan. The date their story began. "I now pronounce you husband and wife," the officiant said with a broad smile. "Nathan, you may kiss your bride." The kiss was met with thunderous applause. Blessing jumped up and down, clapping wildly. "They're married. They're married." The reception was held in a large tent decorated with thousands of flowers and soft lights. Dinner was served at round tables, and Nathan had insisted on hiring a caterer that employed people from low-income backgrounds, giving them professional experience and good wages. During dinner, Nathan stood to give a speech. The room fell silent, everyone turning to watch. "Thank you all for coming," he began. "A year ago, if someone had told me I'd be standing here today, married to the love of my life and father to the most amazing daughter, I wouldn't have believed them. I thought I had my life figured out. I thought success was measured in dollars and market share. Then an 8-year-old girl walked into my office with $5 and changed everything." He gestured to Blessing, who was eating cake at the head table. "Blessing, would you come up here?" The little girl, now 9, walked to the microphone, her red dress swishing. "I want to tell you what this young lady taught me," Nathan continued. "She taught me that courage isn't about not being scared. It's about being scared and doing the thing anyway. She taught me that love means asking for help when you need it. She taught me that family is built, not found. And she taught me that the most important investment I can make is in people." He pulled out an envelope. "Which is why, Blessing, I have something for you. This is the deed to the new community center your mother is building. But it's not called the Sullivan Community Center. It's called the Blessing Richardson Community Center. Because you were the first person to show me what these programs should really be about. Helping families with courage just like yours." Blessing stared at the envelope, then at Nathan, then burst into tears. She threw her arms around him. "This is the best day ever." The guests erupted in applause. Rochelle was crying openly at the head table. Patricia was crying in the front row. Half the guests were crying. When the noise died down, Blessing took the microphone. "I want to say something too." Nathan helped her adjust the microphone to her height. "When my mama was sick and we didn't have money, I was really scared. I thought we might lose our apartment. I thought mama might not get better. I didn't know what to do. But then I saw Mr. Sullivan on TV talking about helping people, and I thought maybe he could help us." Her voice grew stronger. "So I took my $5 that I saved for months and I went to his big building. And you know what? He listened. He didn't send me away. He didn't tell me I was too little. He listened and he helped. And now he's my dad and we're a family and everything is perfect." She looked at Nathan and Rochelle. "I love you both so much. Thank you for making our family." There wasn't a dry eye in the tent. Nathan scooped Blessing up and carried her back to the table where he set her down gently, kissing the top of her head. The evening continued with dancing, laughter, and celebration. Nathan and Rochelle had their first dance to a jazz song, moving together like they'd been doing this forever. Then Nathan danced with Blessing while Rochelle danced with Dr. Brennan. As the night wound down, guests began leaving with hugs and well wishes. The Sullivan Industries employees presented a gift, a photo album they'd compiled showing the transformation of the family over the past year. Photos of Rochelle's first day at work, of Blessing visiting Nathan's office, of all three of them at company events. A visual story of how they'd become family. Finally, as midnight approached, the new family stood together in the garden, surrounded by flowers and soft lights. Tomorrow they would leave for a honeymoon in Hawaii, just the three of them. But tonight they wanted to savor this moment. "We did it," Rochelle said softly. "We actually built this life." "You built it," Nathan corrected. "I just showed up." "No," Blessing interjected. "We all built it together. That's what families do." She was right, of course. This family wasn't about one person saving another. It was about three people choosing each other, day after day, building something beautiful from an unlikely beginning. Nathan looked at his wife and daughter, at the life they'd created together, and felt overwhelming gratitude. He'd spent years chasing success, building wealth, seeking purpose. And all along what he really needed was standing right in front of him. Love, family, and belonging. "What are you thinking?" Rochelle asked, noticing his expression. "I'm thinking about $5, Nathan said. "About how the best investment I ever made was accepting that $5 payment from a brave little girl. Everything else followed from that moment." Blessing grinned. "Best $5 ever spent." "Best $5 ever accepted," Nathan agreed. They stood together under the stars, this unlikely family that had been forged from desperation and kindness, from courage and love. Tomorrow would bring new challenges. There would be difficult days and hard moments. But they would face everything together. Because that's what families did. They chose each other. They showed up. They loved without conditions. And sometimes when you were very lucky, that love transformed everything. 1 year ago, a little girl had walked into a building with $5 and a desperate hope. Today she stood in a garden with her mother and father, surrounded by love and security and belonging. Sometimes the best stories didn't start with happily ever after. Sometimes they started with $5, a brave heart, and the willingness to ask for help. And sometimes those stories ended up being the most beautiful of all.